Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Aurelion Sol, the Starforger. A Sol is a celestial dragon, who along with his siblings sought to fill a somewhat empty universe with meaning and value. He discovered a passion for creating stars and would fly through the cosmos, spinning out solar systems that may one day create life. A Sol was drifting near one of the first stars he created when he discovered Runeterra. He was intrigued by the world, and so he marshaled himself into a smaller form and appeared before the Aspects in Mount Targon. The Aspects ordered the people of Targon to present A Sol with a gift, and they gave him a golden crown. The crown was a trap, carved with powerful runes that shackled him to the will of the Aspects. They began harnessing his power into the Sun Disk, which the Runeterrans used to ascend into godlike warriors. This enslavement infuriated A Sol, who said that he would burn the cosmos just to catch Targon in the flames. Sometime later, he was recalled to Runeterra by a previous host of Pantheon, and ordered to seal a void breach. A Sol complied maliciously, scouring the entire valley the breach had been in, including Pantheon's host. The Aspects retaliated by destroying one of his precious stars, but A Sol knew that their crown was weakening, and soon he would have his revenge. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and the happy balls spinning around us. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Gem Dragonborn. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max intelligence and dump strength. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in intelligence and dexterity. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 5 in wizard. Then we'll dip into fighter for 2 levels for action surge, then finish out the build as a wizard. A Sol's passive, Center of the Universe, is going to be Melf's Minute Meteors. Big shout out to Dial0303 on the build stream for coming up with this absolute banger of an idea. His Q Star Surge will come from Dark Star. Our W Celestial Expansion comes from Meteor Swarm. His E Comet of Legend will come from Gem Flight and Fly. And finally we get our ultimate Voice of Light from our Breath Weapon and the Pulse Wave spell. For race, we're borrowing from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons with the Gem Dragonborn. For our ability score increase, we'll take a +2 to Intelligence and a +1 to Constitution. Gem Ancestry is going to be the basis for our Breath Weapon and Draconic Resistance. We're going with Amethyst because A Sol is definitely purplish, and that'll give us Force Damage Resistance thanks to Draconic Resistance, and our Breath Weapon will deal Force Damage, which is appropriate considering our ultimate. Your Breath Weapon is going to have charges based on your proficiency bonus. You can expend these charges to let out a 15-foot cone of magical energy, forcing each creature in the area to make a dex save or take scaling damage based on your level. Psionic Mind is going to give us a 30-foot telepathic range to communicate with creatures. And finally, we'll pick up one version of our E with Gem Flight, which will let us fly for a minute, giving us a flying speed equal to our walking speed and the ability to hover. For background, we're hitting the nail dead on with Far Traveler. If you know someone who's traveled further than A Sol in League, I'd love to hear it. This is going to give us proficiencies in Insight and Perception and the All Eyes on You feature, meaning when you walk into town, people are going to be interested and want a piece of you, which you can use to your advantage to get into places you want and information you need. For stats, we're going for the balance I hope A Sol has and not destroying Runeterra entirely once he breaks free of the crown with the standard array. Roll if you want to, just keep at least a 13 in Intelligence and Dexterity for multi-classing purposes. Speaking of, Intelligence is going to be our highest stat, thanks to his mind's power to handle and create celestial bodies. Dexterity is going to be next because of how graceful A Sol is in his flight. We'll take Constitution after that thanks to the celestial energy that forms his body. Then we'll go with Charisma for the panic-inducing fear that he's created in the hearts of his enemies. We'll have Average Wisdom since he wasn't wise enough to know what the Aspects were up to, and we'll dump Strength. Though I wouldn't want to get in an arm wrestling match with a dragon made out of star energy. And since we don't need any equipment for A Sol, we'll jump right in with some levels in Wizard. Wizards have a d6 hit die and will give us proficiency with Arcana and History. The main feature for A Sol we'll get here though is Arcane Recovery, letting us recover half of our wizard level in spell slots at the end of a short rest. A key thing I forgot to mention last time we talked about arcane recovery is that you can't recover spell slots over 5th level, so make sure your math stays 5th level and below. 2nd level wizards choose their arcane tradition, which is the style of magic you'll be focusing on and becoming more proficient in. We're going with Graviturgy magic to get access to their awesome spells for our Q and R. Not only do we get access to their spell list, but we'll also get Adjust Density. As an action, you can double or halve a target's weight for a minute or until your concentration breaks. If your weight is halved, your speed increases by 10 feet, you can jump twice as far as normal, but you do have disadvantage on strength checks and saves. If your weight is doubled, flip all of that and ignore the bit about jumping. Level 3 wizards learn 2nd level spells. Shatter is going to be an early way to get our Q. It won't provide any CC, but we'll combine it with Action Surge and Hypnotic Pattern later to get some. Shatter creates a cacophony of sound in a 10-foot radius sphere that forces a con save on any creature in the sphere. If they fail, they take 3d8 thunder damage. 4th level wizards get the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we'll lay out all of our choices here so you can pick and choose for yourself along the way. At Wizard 4, we're going to go with a Dragonhide feat, giving us a point in our Constitution, an AC equal to 13 plus our Dex mod, and some claws that'll deal 1d4 slashing damage, but we're never going to use them honestly. At Wizard 8, we'll get the Warcaster feat to give us advantage on concentration checks, and the ability to cast spells at targets provoking opportunity attacks, rather than making a feeble claw attack. At Wizard 12, we'll round off our Constitution and Intelligence scores with a point each, and then at Wizard 16, we'll max our Intelligence with 2 more points. Level 5 wizards learn 3rd level spells. We actually have 4 spells here to talk about, so buckle in. We'll grab another version of our E with Fly, which will give us a flying speed of 60 feet for 10 minutes. Hypnotic Pattern is going to give us some early CC to pair with Shatter for our early Q. You'll create a galactic pattern in a 30-foot cube, and each creature in it is going to have to make a wisdom save or be charmed for the duration. This charm will reduce the creature's speed to 0 and incapacitate them, so it's basically a stun. And then we'll get our passive with Melf's Minute Meteors. You create 6 tiny meteors that orbit around you for 10 minutes. As a bonus action, you can send 1 or 2 of them flying off to strike a creature within 120 feet, forcing a dex save on that creature, and dealing 2d6 fire damage per meteor if they fail. And finally, we get the knockback on our ultimate from the Pulse Wave spell. You're going to fire this out with your breath weapon thanks to Action Surge, forcing each creature in a 30-foot cone to make a con save, or get knocked back 15 feet away and take 66 force damage. Now we'll jump over to Fighter for 2 quick levels to get Action Surge to pull off our combos we mentioned earlier. Fighters have a much beefier D10 hit die and give us no relevant proficiencies. We learn a fighting style here, but they're all kind of a wash since we don't use weapons or wear armor. Feel free to choose whatever you'd like, but I went with blind fighting for at least that 10-foot blind sight. And our final level 1 fighter feature is going to be Second Wind, which will let you heal yourself 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per rest. Don't forget to use this before you spend hit die, but other than that, it'll just be a minor heal you can use when your party healer is occupied with other things. 2nd level fighters gain Action Surge, which is one of the best features in the game. It's going to let us push ourselves once per rest to take an additional action on our turn. And thanks to Jeremy Crawford's ruling, it'll let us cast 2 leveled spells in a turn, giving us our early Q combo. We'll also use Action Surge to pull off our ultimate. 6th level Graviturgy wizards get the Gravity Well feature. This is going to let you move any creature you either hit with a spell attack roll or who fails one of your spell saves. This movement can be 5 feet in any direction, they just have to land in an unoccupied space. Then 10th level Graviturgists unlock Violent Attraction, which is going to let you add some oomph to things. You're going to get some charges with this feature based on your intelligence mod that recharge on a long rest. With those charges, you can use your reaction in 2 ways. Whenever you're within 60 feet of a creature making a weapon attack, you can increase its velocity to deal an additional 1d10 damage. Or whenever a creature is falling and about to take fall damage, you can pull them down even harder, increasing the damage by 2d10 as well. 14th level Graviturgy wizards gain Event Horizon, which is Rel's ult, but hey, we can use it if we want to. Once per long rest, or if you want to spend a 3rd level spell slot or higher, You can use your action to create a big gravitational anomaly centered on you for 30 feet. Any hostile creature in the anomaly has to make a strength save or take 2d10 force damage and have its speed reduced to 0. Level 15 wizards learn 8th level spells. We're going to get the best version of our Q with Dark Star. Dark Star creates a 40-foot radius sphere of crushing gravity and darkness. Any creature entering the area or starting their turn there has to make a con save or take 8d10 force damage. On top of that, any creature in the Dark Star is blind and cannot hear anything. It's not quite a stun, but it'll get the job done. Level 17 wizards learn 9th level spells. We'll get our W with Meteor Swarm. Now, is this dramatic? Absolutely. Is it appropriate for a cosmic dragon? Abso-freaking-lutely. You call down 4 meteors that have a 40-foot radius and can land anywhere within a mile of you. Each creature in the meteor's path has to make a dex save, or take 20d6 fire damage, and 20d6 bludgeoning damage. And finally, at 18th level wizard, we'll get Spell Mastery, letting us cast our Shatter at a 2nd level without expending a spell slot. This essentially turns it into a cantrip we can cast at will. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. Meteor Swarm is easily one of the highest damage spells we've ever used in a build, and I am envious of anyone who gets to break out this Space Worm in a real game. As if the damage wasn't enough, we also have so much CC, Alistar is jealous of us. Now the bad. All these levels in Wizard definitely takes its toll in the hit point department. And when it comes to a fist fight or any sort of non-magical combat, you're gonna get smacked hard. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in the build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.